that people do things according to the correct way and not jump steps. That means we should study and do what we first have to study and do. And what we can later study extra or do extra, always keep that for afterwards. People sometimes like to jump on difficult issues that are obligation and to voluntarily take things that they don't have to do instead. And that's a mistake. So now the same applies to this issue that we're talking about. It's most important that first of all the basic study and activity of Noahides be in their 7 laws. Now, what you're asking would be, what if already you've known 7 laws and you're a righteous Gentile and you're doing everything? Can I add on something new? Okay, so we've already limited the question to people that have already done their maximum in what they are obligated to do. And then there are possibilities to further the studies of in-depth of Torah under different limitations, yes. But I think that the question as usually posed is just a way of getting around. People want to study and enjoy the knowledge of the Torah, but they had no intent to really do it. So now, to answer your question straight, yes, there are parts of the Torah, and especially the written Torah and even parts of the oral Torah that can be studied. But they can never be turned into an aggressive religious study. And that is the basic point that is written in the fundamentals of the faith, that the Torah by Jews is a separate mitzvah. It's a separate command. There's an issue to study Torah even if you're not going to use it for anything. This idea and this concept has no true existence for Noahides. Because if they're learning something that they're not practicing, then either they are just wasting their time on something that they don't have to do, or they're making some kind of new religious act which they don't really want to do. So any additional or changing of the form of the religion, just for Jews, the same. But we have a wider spectrum of many mitzvot. But any change of the 7 laws and their true belief and doing is a variation of the Noahide code. So now, when a Noahide is studying Torah in order to do one of the 7 commandments, he is studying something religiously to do. When he's studying something that he has no plans on doing, or is forbidden to do, or is not obligated to do, but he's going to try to turn it into a new obligation, that is the basic boundary and limitation which says stop. That's not for you. Now I'll give an example for Jews. If I would decide to make a new holiday, I would decide to make up a new idea. So the Torah clearly says you are not allowed to add any virtues to the Torah. You're not allowed to take away. God gave 613 commandments, not one less and not one more. So study of Torah is not one of the 7 commandments. There's no separate command of studying Torah as there is by Jews. So therefore, the studying of the Torah always has to be connected to one of the 7 actual commands. When it's done like that, then, like the Gemara says, a Noahide that studies his laws and he performs them, he is in the highest state. He is doing for God the maximum he can do. Just like a high priest in the temple, he's doing the best that a man can do. But when a person varies off and starts doing things that he doesn't have to do, and deed is not only activity, it's speech, it's thought, it's investigating and learning. And right now the question is, what are you learning? So I'm learning something that I want to religiously make into... You can't make up a new religion. So although the 7 Noahide laws are considered to be more compact and small, so it's not enough, as if, I don't have enough to do. But that's a wrong way of looking at it. Because first of all, we must do what we're supposed to do. When you get to a level that you already performed the 7 laws totally, and you want to investigate godliness on a higher level in addition to that, then we can think about it. But I doubt very much that all those in the internet that are asking questions are in that state. It's like learning in the university, any study and any science. If you want to learn it on a basis of study as science, okay. But if you want to turn it to a religious act, no. It's not only forbidden, it's easy to say forbidden. I would say more it's useless, and you're using the Torah or whatever you're learning, channeling it to the wrong way.
So he's bringing a spiritual harm to...
I don't know. Spirituality is something that's above my head. I mean, what's going on? I don't know. But he is channeling his knowledge into something that is not supposed to be done, because he's not going to do with it anything. So I think it's important to explain this, and you're not the first to ask this question. Many Noahides have this difficulty, because I understand the interest in to know and the thirst to have knowledge. But basic books like the Rambam, which is translated today in English definitely, and probably in German also, you can study that to get a general idea and understanding what the words of God to the Jews are and what are the Torah in general. This is not called a learning in depth. I think we wrote this in the book, that things that are very general to get the understanding of what the Torah is permitted. We were talking about a study of in depth to analyze and to try to extract from the learning something, some new idea. You want to make a PhD in Jewish religion through the Talmud. Okay, so if you want it for your PhD, okay. But if you wanted to move ahead as a Jewish or a Noahide character, the question was, are you learning something you're going to study? Are you going to act? Or are you learning something for the sake of learning, which is what? Is it a command or not? You can't make up a religious command if God doesn't command it. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Bavakasha, please.
It was important because the text of the Divine Code of the English translation, which most of them at work read and study, it says it's clearly. It says a gentle, even a pious gentle, it's allowed to study even in depth. These parts of the Torah, of the written and of the oral Torah, which are connected with the observance of his seven laws. Yes, and he's even also allowed to study parts which explain the practical way of performing a mitzvah, which he's allowed to take on him voluntarily. Yes. But for the Jewish mitzvot, especially for the reasons behind the Jewish mitzvot, like for example to wear tzitzit or to wear tefillin, which are forbidden for a non-Jew, for any non-Jew, including righteous Noahide, to perform. For this, he's not allowed to study the reasons behind this mitzvah, and also this deeper explanation.
And the idea before, let's give an example of putting on tefillin. Tefillin has no materialistic reason. It's something spiritual. It's a command. It's a Jewish and a godly command. So no man would ever make up such an idea. So a person that is imitating this command, if it's not commanded, it's a lie. Yeah. If there would be a realistic issue behind it, that I'm doing this in order to make myself better, help society, any gains, spiritual or physical, that would be justified. But when you do something that God says it's a sign, it's a symbol. So if God didn't give the sign, so, if I walk out, put on, I don't know if today they don't have kings, but if you put on the crown of the king and you're walking around the street, you'll be in prison immediately. It's a sign for somebody, it's not a sign for somebody else. It has no meaning if it's not on the right head. Always try to stress what we know for sure and we must do. And then later we'll talk about the additional voluntary acts. Then at least you're secure. But if you start doing things you don't have to do, and what you do, you're supposed to do, you're not doing, it says in the chapters of Avot, as in a parable, that a healthy tree, its roots and its base are stronger than the branches. When the branches are much more, the roots are weak, it'll fall off. So same thing, whenever your deeds are more strong and they're the basic existence of you, so the additional branches, you can go out and reach out. When the whole thing is just reaching out and you have no base and you have no roots, you're going to fall off. It's a very simple parable, which is it's very important for people today, overall, everywhere in the world, to search truth and to try to understand that God gives us, every man, every nation, a reason that we should live in this world and a reason that justifies what we're doing here. And nobody is useless, nobody's life is worthless. Every person has something to do and something that he can really achieve. And this is one of the cores of thought of the Noahide command, that God speaks straight to every and each person. And he has some important and vital message to give to him and tell him, please, I created you and I want you to do this or that and something. And nobody should walk around the world, no matter who you are, thinking that I'm worthless or useless, or I'm free to do whatever I want. Both of these are incorrect, and they cause corruption in all ways. People have to understand that they are creations of God, and God has a reason in creating every one of us, and this reason is also not only a justification for the creation, it's also making a person into being something worth, and a person should feel happy and encouraged that I have the right and the importance that God expects from me, this, that, and so on. I think if we could relay this message to as many more people as possible, and people will meditate and think about it, we will make one more step, or maybe more steps, closer to God in understanding that God can help us become better people.
Thank you.
B'vakasha, b'vakasha.